Hey everybody, welcome to the Stop Playing podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. Welcome.
Thanks. So what's all this background noise we got tonight?
Friday Night Lights. See, we don't have to travel. I don't have to travel like I normally do. And I'm here, so Sham was able to get over earlier. So now this is like Primetime Friday. So this is, you guys are going to hear an ambulance like every minute. Because normally by the time we start podcasting, Friday, I wouldn't say is winding down, but all the ambulances have gotten to the hospital. And so, you know, the final verdicts on those people are, you know, in the doctor's hands. Right now, these people are getting transported to and from happy hour. So whatever insanity they've gotten into, in all seriousness, yeah, it seems like it's a little ruckus tonight. It was cold today, too. Maybe it got a little warmer over the course of the day, so maybe people got cooped up and then decided to go out and then decided to immediately injure themselves. That's the only thing I can think of.
Or they, you know, it's the end of the work week. Folks was like, F it. Let's just go to happy hour. Let's just go out here and get drunk.
I absolutely get that. But yeah, we're getting a lot of traffic right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's good to be here.
Good to see you in real life.
Yeah. And, you know I say it every week, but this is actually one of the bigger weeks. We do have a lot to go over because there have been some reversals of some things that we talked about last week, especially after the election. We have a ton going on in politics. I'm going to keep it it's a lot of quick hits that kind of loop into the same thing. Basically, post-election fallout. Is basically what all this stuff is.
For the most part, yeah.
Yes.
But look, I had a question for you before we start getting into this.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you, when you go out and you meet new people or you're around new people,
yep,
do you make disclaimers for your friends?
No. Well, not really. Because at this point, anybody I'm going out with, if I need to make a disclaimer for you, I'm probably not going to be out with you. Right.
Yeah. And you and I are on the same page. And I don't think I have anybody in my circle that I feel like the need to. I feel like if you roll with me, you good people.
Now, my friends may make disclaimers for me.
Well,
I mean, I'm a nice guy, but they'll say, you know, something.
I make no disclaimers for you. Yeah. However, I asked you this because a friend of mine, we were having a conversation the other night. And the topic of disclaimers for your friends came up. Okay. And I was just like, I would never, like, only for, I would say this, like if I'm around a group of people and I have a friend that doesn't maybe talk that much, okay, I would say, you know, well, she's not really good around people at first, but she warms up. That is a mild disclaimer that I might say.
I mean, that's.
But I wouldn't put out there, oh my God, my friend Shaka's coming. Please don't start talking about politics because he is really passionate about that and he will get fired up. So please don't bring it, like that type of disclaimer. Like,
yeah, no, I can't do all that because no one has time to manage that type of thing. I will say, I mean, you know, when you do that, it has the opposite effect.
It does every time. Yeah. Because there's an expectation that, first of all, there was no expectation in the first place.
Correct.
Here's just a person coming into your existence that you know nothing about, and there are no preconceived notions. Whereas if you put out the disclaimer, there's a boom preconceived notion already. Like, okay, and it may, you know, put people on unnecessary eggshells.
Yeah. The more I think about it, if you're the type of person making disclaimers, there's one of three things. Either there's a problem with the people that you're hanging with now, there's a problem with the friend that you're bringing, or you are the problem. Because most times at this point, people, especially as they get older, like, look, we're all adults. We're going to, you know, if they're coming to this place, then by definition, they should be able to know how to act. Like, you know, if this is a house party, like, you should not need to make a disclaimer what we could talk to them about. They do understand that there are other human beings at this party that they're going to have to interact with and be an adult around, right? Like, why we, you know, people make disclaimers like for children. So, you know, I don't know. Right. But yes, you're correct. I know people like that. And you're right. I've been in situations, either I've been somewhere or I'm going somewhere and somebody be like, you know, what you got to understand about these people. It's like, well, wait a minute. if you need to make a disclaimer to me about these people, actually, you're now making them less. I could have figured that out on my own,
right?
And it probably is not even as bad as you think it is. Yeah.
And who are you trying to? I don't know. Like, I feel like if you have to make a disclaimer about somebody, then you are trying to put some type of impression or make an impression on this new group.
Yeah.
While you're putting their opinion of your friend over your friendship.
Correct.
It's I don't know. I don't. I just think it's a fine line.
You have to question the agenda of the person.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, why are you doing this?
Right. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you doing this?
Right.
Especially, again, as you get older, it's like, people at this point, if people don't like being around other people, they do not go out. Like at the age that we are in our mid-30s. People don't, if they're not people, they're not going out. If they are, they're going out with the understanding like everybody's not like me. So, people may say some stuff I don't like. I'm going to keep it cool. I'm not going to try to offend people. I'm going to have my fun. If I don't like these people, I will find the nearest exit as soon as possible.
But also, in the midst of all of that, you're not going to dim your own light.
Correct.
You're not going to dim yourself. You're not going to be any less than the person you are just because you think, or, it could be perceived that you could make other people comfortable. It's like,
correct.
Why?
Correct. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, and the only other thought I had before you go into your politics is that...
How did this happen, though? So what ended up happening? Now I'm curious.
Oh, we were just talking. We were just having a conversation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought somebody actually did it.
No. We were, we were just conversing.
I was waiting.
No.
Oh, okay.
There's not an example here.
Oh, gotcha.
But it just came up in discussion, and I was just kind of like, I don't know that I do that, and I would want to do that. So...
I have something before we go into politics, but you keep going. Yeah,
so way back in episodes, in the first few episodes, we talked about Caster Semenya. And we talked about the IAAF rule.
Yes.
And how on November 1st, they were supposed to enact that rule.
I forgot the date, but I'm glad you reminded me. So here we are, 2 weeks later.
No rule enacted. They keep pushing it back. So there's some... this is good though if they keep pushing it back and saying, well, we're not going to release these rules yet. Right. I don't have too much information about it, but I just kind of was browsing the other day just because I was like curious because I didn't hear anything. But yeah, they've just kind of, they're at a stalemate. So as of right now, she's still able to run as she is.
Gotcha. Well, hey, you know what? Maybe they'll keep pushing it, and then like the NFL owners with the national anthem policy. Be like, you know what? This is run out of steam at this point. It is more trouble than it's worth for us to continue this issue. So let's just go ahead and give it up.
Quite frankly, it's stupid.
It is very stupid.
Let the woman run.
So exactly like the anthem policy. It's like, you know what? This is not worth the trouble we're making it out to be. So I really hope that happens because it just really sounds like, she's doing nothing wrong. She's excelling at her sport, and honestly, it takes more energy to try to stop her from her achievements than it would to try to grow your sport. Right. She would be an awesome story if they actually got behind her.
Exactly. They've done nothing but go against her for the entirety of her career. And honestly, I mean, runners have like the window is very small for runner or athletes and sprinting and running anyway. So while she's here, just celebrate her. And it's probably in the next 3 or 4 years, she's going to probably want to retire. And after 2020 Olympics, I mean, that would be a third Olympics for her. Yeah. She's probably just going to want to retire anyway. So,
people amaze me with the ability in organizations, really, not so much people. Organizations amaze me with the ability that they're willing to contort themselves to cut their nose off to spite their face. Cutting your nose off to spite your face is stupid in and of itself. But then when you have to take an extra effort to do it, it's like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just let yourself be great? Let your organization be great. You see this athlete, let them be great. No, you have to overthink it and try to make it complicated. I hope that keeps getting pushed. Actually, that would be the best resolution. It keeps getting pushed, and then people just kind of stop and say, you know what, this was dumb.
Not even worth our resources.
Yeah, let's drop this and then move on.
So stupid.
Nah, that's good. That's good. Well, yeah, that's a good follow-up. I have actually a couple of follow-ups in our news too, but I'm glad that's a good follow-up. That's a good one. Maybe
you guys posted.
Maybe we should save that because a lot of my follow-ups are not so good. But you know, unfortunately, the minority of news is good. But no, you know, some of it is good, some of it is not. Before we get to the news, though, I'll be remiss in my narcissistic self to not say it is my birthday next week. We're a week out from my birthday. Now, the only reason I bring this up is because actually you made me think of something when you were talking about disclaimers. And so I'm having a big brunch next week, the day after my birthday. My birthday's on Friday. The brunch will be Saturday. And a lot of worlds will be colliding in this brunch. I have not very different, like, you know, in life, but my point is very distinct circles of friends, most of whom do know each other at this point. I mean, you know, we're all old enough where we've kind of intersected over the years and people have met each other and stuff like that. However, this will probably be like the way this is shaping up right now. There will be a lot of people in the same room who haven't been in the same room in quite some time. And had I been younger, I might would have been tempted to give some disclaimers, like, hey, you know what? Listen, do not talk about XYZ around that person. Do not talk around, you know. But again, I am going with the convention that we're all adults. We will be having brunch. People will be having mimosas. People will be having food. It will be a great time. I actually think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be sort of the setting where, again, it's brunch. So it's not going to be like a club or anything. People are going to be sort of eating and then walking around and interacting. But I just thought of that. I thought it was funny because it's, you know, again, I think all of us, because we're all around the same age that's going to be here, but all of us like 10 years ago, yeah, there might have been some disclaimers at this function.
10 years ago, we wouldn't have been doing brunch.
You are correct. 10 years ago, people would have been like, what are you talking about? I'm not getting up at 12 o'clock on a Saturday. Are you serious? Where's the club at? I'll be there.
But for our non-local listeners, and I realized this
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
After like going a few places, you know, brunch is a big thing in
big
DC.
Deal.
Brunch is it on the weekend. Saturday, Sunday morning through the afternoon from 10 to 3. You are somewhere brunching after a certain age, of course.
Right.
But
well, no. Young people do it.
Oh, young people are brunching now?
Are you serious? I guarantee you at this thing on Saturday, there will be young people there. They have embraced it. Yeah. They have embraced it. Now, what they'll do is they'll brunch, they'll go to a day party, then they'll go to a club. Like, they don't care. They're just out all day. Right. They're just out all day. But yeah, me, like, I'm brunching, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a wrap.
That's my Saturday.
I'm finding the couch. But yeah, brunch is huge in DC. It's like what we do here on the weekends.
Correct.
And I've gone to other cities and me and my friends have tried to find brunch spots.
And they look at you like,
what? What do you mean? What do you mean?
I mean, what, you want food?
Unlimited mimosas. Okay. What are you talking about?
Mimosas. Sure, I guess. Yeah. All right. Go get some orange juice in the back, and we'll create something. No, it's funny you say that because again, as we've discussed, I travel a lot for my job, and there have been days where I've stayed on Saturday, and I was joking with my coworkers, and I was like, yeah, it'd be good if I can like get up and have brunch and go to a lounge. They completely looked at blank stare. Brunch, lounge. They were like, lounge? What do you mean? What do you do there? Like, are you a hippie? Blah, blah, blah. They were clowning me.
They thought it was a TV and a couch?
God, they were clowning me. They were clowning me. And, one day they will listen to this and they will know I was serious about brunch. It is not a game.
It's not a game.
In D.C.
No.
But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm turning, 30 next week. Yeah, right. I think I already told you guys how old I am. But.
Yeah. You have a very diverse, multicultural group of friends.
I think, thank you. I take that as a compliment. Yep.
You do. So it's, like you said, it's going to be a lot of different personalities and things happening.
I'm glad you said that because, I think there have been times and, we both listen to the cast and I've come across like, man, I sound a little militant right here. And da 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 da. No, just for the listeners to know, like, as Sham just said, I pride myself on having a very different, diverse set of friends. And trust me on this, everything you see on, or hear rather, on the podcast is like really an extension of a lot of conversations I have with a lot of these people. And you get a lot of different perspectives, and it gives you a very three-dimensional sense of the world. So I'm very excited, very excited. Probably no podcast next week. Probably just spoiler alert. Probably, that's not gonna happen. Spoiler alert.
Podcast live from brunch.
Right? Oh God, yo, Dale, it'd be like Tom Jordan when they do the Sky shows or whatever. Dale, you know what? That probably would be dope, but yeah, people would be like destroying our equipment. It could be trusted. No. It could be trusted.
Can't do that.
All right. Well, are we ready to dive into some news?
Dive into the news.
All right, so listen, this was post-election week fallout. We dabbled in it a little bit. We did a show the day after the election, and Jeff Sessions had gotten fired, and he had fired Jeff Sessions, and I think he had scapegoated someone else too. Oh, no. Paul Ryan. He scapegoated Paul Ryan, but he couldn't fire Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
So, okay, he being President Trump,
back and
45.
Forth about
correct.
The citizenship.
And also about the House losses.
Yeah.
So, apparently, 45 took the House losses very hard.
Did he?
Emotionally.
Do tell.
They say that he was an emotional wreck, like, all week. That he expected to win. I don't know why he expected to win. Everyone and their mom. But see... You know what, though? I thought about it. I said, why was he so emotional about this? But if you think about it, everyone told him he was going to lose his election, and he didn't. So he doesn't trust any kind of gauge. And it's kind of like I said last week about polling. Polls mean nothing to him. He goes to a crowd, he gets that sort of feedback, and that's all he needs. So, in his mind, they should have either gained seats or kept the majority in the House, and they should have gained and kept the majority in the Senate. Now, they did keep the majority in the Senate. They didn't gain as many seats as they wanted. Actually, over the course of the post-election fallout, Arizona flipped in the recount. So Kristen Sinema, the Democrat, she on election night and the next day, she looked like she had lost. But then the margin was so close that they had to continue counting votes and do a recount, and she actually won. So her opponent conceded, and he is mad at that. Like, he told her, like, why are you conceding? Like, that's how he's coming at people.
But he ain't asked Andrew Gillum why he was conceding.
Now, Andrew Gillum. So here's the interesting dichotomy of sort of events since our last podcast. We podcasted 9 days ago. At that podcast, at the time, Andrew Gillum conceded. And Stacey Abrams did not.
Refused
at the time. Now we've gotten to a place. Andrew Gillum has withdrawn his concession in Florida. All right. They're going to do a manual recount in Florida. And I'll touch on Florida in a minute. Florida is always our favorite state.
Yes.
And it did not disappoint this time either.
Keeps on giving.
It was the gift that keeps on giving. It is giving right now. He has withdrawn his concession. Stacey Abrams, as I read, they made a mistake saying she conceded. She is adamant to say, I do not call this a concession. A concession would mean that I accept the result, and my opponent is the victor. She said, my opponent will be named governor. She made a distinct phrasing today. She said, my opponent will be named governor, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quoting her directly. But basically what she said was, my opponent will be named governor. However, this process was completely flawed. They have disenfranchised thousands of black voters. I refuse to say the word concession. That's what she said. She is stopping her campaign. She's going to allow him to be sworn in as governor. But she was like, but I'm not conceding in the sense that I recognize this as a legitimate election and a legitimate result, which... Again, her opponent doesn't care, and the Republicans don't care. They're going to say, all right, well, whatever. Point being, we want. But I think that was important, and she felt it was important to make that distinction. But that's just amazing that even in that short time frame, these elections, these post-election results in Georgia and Florida, again, I'll touch on Florida in a second, they've been so tight that You've had automatic recounts. You've had manual recounts. All of that. And they have changed the complexion of the post-election landscape. Before I get into Florida, Nancy Pelosi. We alluded to it last week because her demeanor at the time.
Oh, yeah. She thought she was Speaker of the House.
Yeah, was so strong. And she must have had an inkling then. She's been outright challenged. Now, granted, it's only about 17 actually directly signatures that's been confirmed, but I've heard the numbers be somewhere around 20 to low 20s. Excuse me. House representative, or excuse me, Congress people, I should say, who have either verbally or on that letter signaled that they would oppose her speakership. And she had a press conference yesterday. And basically the press conference was supposed to be sort of a touchdown dance. Like, it was like, okay, we've regained control of the House. She made a point not to kind of just presume that she would be the speaker, but it was really to be like, to celebrate, especially a lot of the women that have come into the House and minorities and stuff like that. And those reporters wasted no time. As soon as she was done with her little part of the speech, they were like, okay, so let's get to it. How many people are challenging you for the speakership? And then she tried to like next question the first person. And then they were like, no, listen, we know for a fact like 17 people signed the letter opposing the speakership. And then she started getting mad. She started getting mad immediately. She was like, well, did you see the letter? Did you see the letter? And then they were like, well, no, I haven't like physically held it in my hand and seen it. She was like, all right, then next question. And then somebody was like, okay, listen, like, you're upset. Do you believe you're going to be the speaker? Like, do you believe you're going to get the votes? And she was like, yes. And everybody walked out of there and was like, okay, she probably will. But just how upset she is right now, like, shows that there's a problem. She reached out to these people on this list and basically like left them messages. So the new freshman quote unquote class came into Congress this week. Even though they don't technically get inaugurated into January, they are able to come up to the Hill and kind of get settled or whatever, orientation for lack of a better word. And she had messages left for everybody in the House, especially the Democrats, especially the new ones. Basically like, I'm going to be the speaker. Like, what are you talking about? And if you got a problem, like, you know where to come find me. Like, she's Suge Knighting this whole, like, speakership. That's what Nancy Pelosi is doing right now. So that's the subplot. And basically, she put in a letter like, look, we can't afford to look divided and weak right now because we're going against 45. We're going against 45 in 2020, and we have to, be a unified force. That unified force needs to be under my leadership. Like, that's how she's approaching it. But yeah, so that's happening at the moment. Now to Florida. So Florida is a mess. Florida is the gift that keeps on giving. Broward County and Palm Beach County. Let's start with Broward County because this actually has kind of a personal little resonance with me. Both counties needed to do a recount after the election on Tuesday for the gubernatorial race between Gillum and Ron DeSantis. Their votes, they had a deadline. There's been a lot of back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. They're questioning the process, especially Republicans. Rick Scott, and a couple podcasts ago, and I think I acknowledged this last podcast, I mistakenly named the governor, Governor Chris. Charlie Crist has not been the governor of Florida for a while. It's Rick Scott. Rick Scott is now running for Senate. He is the current governor. He is now running for Senate, so he has his own race. The elections in Broward County and Palm Beach County, the ballots had to be recounted. Everyone was given a deadline, all the counties. Those two counties knew, like, it was obvious a week ago that they would not be able to meet this deadline to get their ballots recounted for, this tally. These are the same two counties, if anybody was paying attention in 2000, pretty much that were the center of the 2000 election between Al Gore and George Bush. So these counties are notorious. Actually, Kathleen Harris, the same woman who was the center of the presidential election in 2000. She's not the center of this now, but she certainly popped right back up, and people were talking to her about this now. Where this has a personal thing for me is this: the election commissioner, whatever her little position is in Broward County, is probably a 60-ish maybe black woman, and I forget her name. But she kind of looks like my grandmother, or at least a friend of my grandmother in a church. This lady's got to go. And I hate to say it. Even though a lot of the sort of challenges to the election, especially from the Republicans, especially like Marco Rubio, who's completely out of control, have been baseless. Her responses to a lot of these allegations and her responses to sort of what's been the challenge of getting these ballots counted, it's just ridiculous. And the reason I brought up my grandmother is because my grandmother was very involved in elections and very involved in politics. That is where I get that from. She was involved in local politics, and she would go to voting polls. She would work in campaigns. That's what she did in D.C. And one of the things that was very important to her, she's still alive right now, but my point is she's not obviously involved in any of that stuff. Not obviously, she's not. She definitely did not like when people who were involved in this process came across as incompetent or nonchalant. And this lady comes across as that. And it's very disturbing to especially me as a black person. And when you have people challenging the legitimacy of elections and disenfranchising black people, and then you have a black election commissioner who doesn't look like she knows what she's doing, she's got to go. She's got to go. So they're trying to get her out, and they have made her a symbol of their argument. They being Marco Rubio, a lot of Republicans have made her a symbol of their argument of why they feel justified in throwing out votes. That's what's happening in Florida right now. Rick Scott's doing it. He's the governor. So you have the governor of the state actually challenging a county in how they run their elections, when technically speaking, you should be sort of, in charge of that, not directly, but at least somewhat responsible for it. Yeah, he was like, look, I don't trust any of the votes coming out of that county. Most of them are black. And this black lady's in charge of it, so throw them out. So it's been a very disturbing week and a half in that respect, especially in Florida. That's why, Sham, I know we want to get rid of Florida and we don't. I'll keep Miami, which again is where a lot of this stuff is, like West Palm Beach and Broward. I'll keep it for a vacation spot. I'll go to Orlando for Disney World, but if there's an election, I feel like, you know what? We need to, somebody made a joke. Tell everybody in Florida that the elections are in July, and then we can get all the votes counted by the time it gets to November. I'm with that. I'm with that.
I don't understand why they always have an issue.
I'm definitely with that. But I mean, have you followed anything at all with these elections besides the Abrams thing, maybe?
Mostly just the Abrams thing.
Yeah.
The latest update was that she basically conceded, but then you just said she didn't. So
well, again, yeah. I just want to make it plain. She has made it known that she's not continuing her campaign.
Right.
Right. So in that way, again, if you're her opponent, you're like, look, you can call it whatever you want. That's a concession. Mm-hmm. As far as we're concerned. But she made it very plain she don't want to use that word.
And also, isn't the recount over in Florida though?
No. So it depends on what we're talking about. So the gubernatorial race, they actually have to do a manual recount.
Oh, but then they just do so they
did an automatic. So they're automatic recounts, like where they just trust the ballots again. Yeah, now they're like doing it by hand.
Yeah, because the automatic recount only got him up to one vote closer.
Correct. So. But he's within the margin now where they have to do a manual. Yeah. So it's a mess.
Yeah, it's 49.5 to 49.1.
Correct. It's like within half a percentage point, or I think it's something like that. So yeah, now it's a true mess. Now it's a true mess. Probably won't take that long, but It's still a mess. Actually, the other little thing I wanted to dovetail off, this has nothing to do with the elections. This is just more so celebrity gossip. So,
if they could see what I just did.
Yeah. So, Donald Trump, 45, and his wife had basically the equivalent of a marital spat, but it played out nationally. So there's a White House aide by the name of Mira Ricardel. And Miss Ricardel...
She's badass.
Works as the Deputy National Security Advisor. Is that what she... I believe so.
Something like that.
Yeah. She's definitely on the National Security team. Melania Trump just out of literally, or it seemed like nowhere, at least to the public. This week, chief of staff, her chief of staff. So the first lady has her own little chief of staff, of course. Comes out and says, this woman, Mira Ricardel, does no longer deserves the honor and privilege of working for the White House. Like, she needs to be fired. Puts that out publicly. No kind of explanation, no kind of like why. Then, of course, everyone goes crazy. And then, of course, people are starting to ask, like, okay, why are they doing this? It comes out that apparently she's been asking 45. She's been asking her husband to do this for a while, and he's not doing it. So I guess she decided, okay, well, you don't want to do it? I'm talking to you in private. You don't want to make that move? I'm going to go to my chief of staff. I'm going to release a statement. Now what you want to do? After 2 days, because it took him a while, because you know he was mad. You know he was mad. Because she basically went behind his back and was like, I'm going to take this to the American people and then put it in your hands and see what you're going to do. Then he fired her. I would have loved to have been, all I got to say is this, I would have loved to have been in a room later that day or that night or whenever when he finally was able to talk to her about this little situation right here. Because if it's anything like I think it was, that would have been entertaining. You have any thoughts on that one? Because I hit you about that immediately.
I just wanted to be on that plane to Africa to see what went down. Wow.
So this was about the African trip.
Yeah, it was about the trip to Africa. It was about some seating arrangements. it was about like, you know, information that Ricardel was keeping from the first lady, that the first lady, she didn't think the first lady should have been privy to. And then it was also about, you know, Ricardel had been saying that some unnecessary expenses had been used by the first lady.
Oh, so she was.
By
so
the first lady's
petty.
cabinet.
This is petty. It's
petty on Melania's fault,
Correct.
I think, because you have a solid person that's looking out for the best. You know,
right.
She's looking for the best outcome for everybody, but because you don't like the way she's doing it, you're like, okay, she got to go. But, you know, this is an example of what her husband's been doing since the whole time he's been in office.
Which, as I alluded to a few episodes ago, people want to think Melania Trump's this innocent little bystander. No, she's not. No, she isn't at all. And as a matter of fact, also, like a couple weeks ago, she did an interview, and the guy asked her, like, "Hey, do you trust a lot of people in your husband's circle?" And she was like, "No." And she was like, "And I've told him that." And then he was like, "So what happens after that?" And she said, "But some of them have been fired." Yeah. No, she's in his ear. She's in his ear when she wants to be. Mm-hmm. Well, she wants something.
She told it right there.
Yeah.
So you know, Mira Ricardel is now removed from her White House. Her White House role. It took a few days.
It took a couple of days because the whole story behind it was, is he going to do it?
Well, he probably was it was a rock and a hard place for him because, it was a lot of people like, this is not the move you want to make.
No,
like,
she's important.
She is very important and apparently great at her job. So
yeah,
folks was like, yo, you need her. What are you doing?
What are you doing? But then he was like, I can't. And his less, I guess, noble friends will probably be like, yo, you're going to let your wife push you around like this in public? Like, right. That's what she's doing.
That's what
and and now, matter of fact, I don't think anyone actually said that to him because that's probably was in the back of his mind. But if someone had actively said that to him, that woman would still be working right now. Because he'd be like, oh, absolutely not. You know what? I'm promoting her.
Or that person would have been fired. For saying
Yeah, that's right. What are you talking about? Fire this guy. Yeah, he don't know what he's talking about. Right.
How dare he question my decision making abilities.
And the strength of my hand with my wife.
Right.
Yeah.
I wear the pants.
I wear the pants around here. She'll push me around. Yeah, I'm the bully. Oh yeah, she also today, I guess talking to people like, you know, the people I was talking about when I said that when I mocked her for talking about bullying, and she was like, yeah, people want to mock me for that, but blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? You can make all the speeches you want. You being the spokeswoman for bullying is still a joke. Your husband's a bully. So until you fix that, again, you could talk about people making fun of you, whatever. I don't really care about that. Your husband's a bully. And now you're kind of a bully. So why, you have the wrong cause. Yeah, you have the absolute wrong cause. Madam First Lady Trump. But yeah, so that's actually only a few of the stories I got. A few.
A few?
Yes. I don't have more.
That's a lot of politics.
Yeah, again, there was some quick hits. There was some quick hits in there.
Boy, you were on a roll.
There was some quick hits. It's a lot of fallout this week. The other thing, real quick, Kirstjen Nielsen, the Homeland Secretary, she's on the ropes. You know what strikes me about 45 again? I said this last time. It's not unusual to fire people after an election or midterm, change staff. He keeps people dangling. He'll tell people like, yo, I'm going to fire you at some point. And just keeps them hanging. That's what he did with Jeff Sessions. They're saying he's probably going to do that with Kelly as his chief of staff. Kirstjen Nielsen's the Homeland Security lady who went out there and basically was the spokeswoman for separating the babies at the border. All of that. But he was like, but I'm not going to fire them like right now. I do not see how people operate like that under his yoke like that. But I guess, you know, when you're president, or when people feel like they're working for the White House, they don't feel like, you know, they have a choice. This is a great job, and they're just gonna keep working it. But yeah, so that's most of the political stuff. I don't want to get too heavy in it. I mean, I have gotten heavy in it, but there's some other stuff. But there's some entertainment stuff as well.
Wait. Hold up. Bring it on back.
Hold on.
What in the world is going on with this thongs thing?
That's not political.
I'm sorry.
So we could now segue into the social world.
I didn't know thongs spoke a language.
So would you like to share with our listeners what you're talking about?
So apparently a defense lawyer in Ireland suggests that a thong equals consent.
Correct.
So basically that outfit that had Twitter going crazy today that Jennifer Lopez was wearing. Correct. Would have meant consent.
Yep.
For someone to just roll up on her and do their thing.
Yep. So this, you know, again, this was a stretch of an argument, but people were getting real concerned about it. The victim of rape, the victim of a sexual assault or rape wore a thong, and this was brought up in the trial by the defense in a very roundabout way, indirect way to imply that, you know what, this was consent by the victim. So no rape here. They're wearing a thong. They want to have sex. They had it. Case closed.
A thong with a lace front.
With a lace front. Mm-hmm. So case closed.
In no way was she trying to hide her panty lines at all in the outfit she was wearing.
There it is.
No point.
So that was the argument that was presented.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are.
And did you see that photo that
I did
of Jennifer Lopez today that had Black Twitter going crazy?
I did.
Coming for her.
I did. And you know, Jennifer Lopez, she has aged incredibly well. You know, when she was with In Living Color, I mean, you know, she was a fly girl, whatever, and that's fine. And then when she started getting big in terms of like her career, I always thought she was pretty and whatever, you know, the obvious. But I wasn't like flipping out over her. I'm still not flipping out, but the point being, she's aged extremely well.
I think the flip out is appropriate now. simply because of the way she looks at her age.
Correct.
Like flipping out now is like,
that's what I'm saying. Like when I see her still, I'm like,
damn,
whoa, you have aged very well.
Why do you still look like this?
Yes, you have aged very well.
That being said, she has aged. So that outfit.
I mean,
that outfit. Nah, you're not Jenny from the block no more.
What? Look,
stop it. Stop playing.
If she can pull it off,
stop playing.
She pulled it off.
She pulled it off, but don't stop playing. That's not appropriate anymore.
Oh, no, it's not appropriate.
That's what I'm saying.
What's appropriate?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, appropriate for what? What is it?
Like you're not 22. Let them do that. And plus, first of all, who's showing the thong anymore anyway? Who's wearing pants that low that the top of their thong is showing? We not doing that. We left that. Don't try to bring it back.
Who's we?
The society.
Okay.
Society left that.
Hey, all right. Well,
back there.
I mean,
but I mean, more power to her though. But she's gorgeous. She is living her best life. Yeah. And just don't wear that outfit again.
I mean, it was a video, so she clearly wore it, for a purpose. That purpose was achieved. She basically got the attention she wanted. But nah, she looks good. She looks really good now. Real quick, the white chicks with the hoodies.
Yeah.
I mean, so you saw that I sent you the story.
I saw it. I talked about it with a couple people at work.
I think it's great. Listen, we've talked a lot. We talked about the girl who went to school in blackface or whatever, was trolling her schoolmates in blackface, and then her classmates and everybody spoke up on the black girl's behalf and the parents. And we talked about white allies before, and that's your word, but it's a good word. It's good word. There were 4 white women who basically, and I believe this was in Memphis, basically went to a mall that had outlawed sweatshirts and hoodies.
Mm-hmm. Mostly hoodies.
Hoodies, yeah, specifically. And they wore hoodies to this very same mall. Mm-hmm. And they walked around, and it was an experiment. 4 sort of late 20-ish, 30-ish white women wore these hoodies, made sure that they kind of resembled urban hoodies that black teenagers and black men would wear. And they said, like, literally the worst resistance they got was a couple of security guards nicely walked up to them at various points, not all the time, but on a few occasions, nicely walked up to them, asked them to take it down a little bit, take the hood piece off. Yeah. Just take the hood down. They could keep it on
because they couldn't disclose their identity. Like, correct. They just wanted to see their faces.
They just wanted to see their faces, and they let them walk around. And then they said as soon as they would walk off for like literally a few seconds, they would put it right back up, and then nobody would say anything. And their point in saying that was, this is not a hoodie rule. This is a black man wearing hoodies.
It is an unwritten and unspoken part of the quote unquote mall policy. Correct. But the backstory behind that is that 3 or 4 gentlemen had worn hoodies and had got beaten, were harassed and beaten by security of that mall for wearing hoodies. So as white allies, they were, trying to basically set an example and say, hey, this is why y'all did this, because they were black, not because they were wearing hoodies, because we're wearing hoodies and you didn't do anything but ask us to take them off.
That's right. So there you go. And they advertised this on Facebook, videoed it, and then they did everything. So again, kudos to those types of people. That's the types of people we want.
Yeah, there were some mixed reactions to it, though.
Of course there were.
Yeah, some people were not so, kind about. Yeah, and what is this? What does this change?
Oh, it doesn't change.
There's always going to be people like that, but I think it's a step in the right direction that people, just. Yeah, I mean, I can't even say walk in our shoes because they didn't actually walk in our shoes, but I mean, they proved the point. But
they were proving the point,
and nothing has been said from that mall about it.
Right. I mean, they could never walk in our shoes. That was their point. They were like, look, matter of fact, a lot of the stuff they were saying made all the sense in the world. They were like, we can never walk in the shoes of black people. We don't know what it's like to be black. We see a policy that's discriminatory. We were trying to test it out to see what they would do, and they did exactly what we thought. So in terms of like, what's this going to change? Nothing. Well, or I'll put it this way. At least it may make the layman, especially white person, think like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I hadn't thought of it like that. If somebody of their, circle says that. So if it even changes that, then it's done at least a little bit, because those same people say, oh, what does it change? Well, let's say they're also the same people who say, oh, well, white people who claim to be on our side don't do anything. Well, this was something. Yeah. They had to do that.
They didn't.
So, again, why if I'm white and I'm looking at some of those people who questioning them, I'm like, well, you know what? If you don't want my help, then I'll keep it moving.
It would have been funny if a black person saw them walking around with hoodies and called the cops on them.
Actually, yikes. That would have taken the experiment to the next level. That would have been a great story, though. Yeah. That would have been a great story.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, it's a couple other little things that I had on my feed, but do you have anything? You had kind of wrapped up a story before we get into sports, because time is flying, isn't it?
Time is flying.
Yeah. Time is flying.
Yeah. And it's cold outside.
It's very cold. Actually, real quick, if you don't have anything, I saw Widows. I have not seen Venom, and I'm probably going to have to red box that at this point.
Already making promises you can't keep.
Yeah, well, sorry.
This guy.
I did see, well, I already talked about Bohemian Rhapsody. I saw Widows this week. Widows was very good. Actually, there's a kind of racial component to that. Obviously, not going to spoil the movie, but a lot of people were not pleased that Viola Davis, who was black, of course, and Liam Neeson, who's white, were playing husband and wife. Thought we had gotten beyond that at this point, but apparently not. So to those people, I would say, why don't you go sit in the corner? It's a very good movie. And really, the race of the characters doesn't really come into it. You just had two very good actors playing very good roles. So that was a good movie. On another kind of TV/social note, Game of Thrones got its release date for season 7. We will absolutely not turn this into a Game of Thrones podcast by any stretch of the imagination, even though I love Game of Thrones. April of 2019.
A little earlier.
Yeah. Well,
last time it didn't come out till the summer.
It did not. It came out in July, and most of the time it is late March, early April. Last year was late, so this is more in line with what they normally should have been doing. I got Sham in the Game of Thrones a year or two ago, guys. So she's a newbie, but she's into it.
It was kind of forced on me. Actually, it was
fine.
It was last year.
Forced.
It was last year. It was 2017.
Correct. And I shouldn't say got her into it. I don't know to the extent that she likes it.
Now look, it's a fine program, but for some of y'all need to stop with this best show ever in life stuff. Stop it.
I'm not one of those. It's pretty good though.
It's a very well written show. It's a good show. But nah, we not jumping off of ledges here talking about it's the best show. No, we're not doing that. But the score is quite outstanding.
Sham played the cello.
I did not play the cello. I wish I played the cello.
Excuse me. Violin, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. No, what you used to tell me though, there was a cello.
Oh, there's always a fantastic cello.
That's what it was. Sorry. Yes.
They write well for cellos, which is usually not done.
That's why I associated cello, because that's what you told me that you liked about the show.
It's my favorite instrument to listen to.
Yeah. So she'd be like, "Damn, nice little course for the cello there." I'm like, "Did you watch the episode? Like, did you see what actually happened, or are you sitting here talking to me about the score?"
I just wait for the end credits.
I don't care about that. All right, I want to care what Terry is doing.
Imagine my disappointment at the end of the Red Wedding when there was no score.
Silence, right? And honestly, those are the big ones, like the Red Wedding, and there are a couple other ones where it's like they'll do like a long silence before they. And she's like, "Where's the score?" And everybody else is sitting there with their mouth open, like down on the.
I'm waiting. There was no music. It was just darkness. But anyway.
Nah, I'm definitely doing or I would hope to do a watch party for the premiere. Right. But no, it's not the best show ever though. The Wire is up there. Sopranos is up there. Again, you know, I cape for HBO pretty hard, and I think a lot of their shows deserve to be up there. Those are the two that I would put up there.
Oz?
I like Oz. I think, you know, again, Oz represents HBO, like, getting into that world. Mm-hmm. So it was a very good show. Mm-hmm. But I think that they learned a lot from that and then sort of went into some of the other shows.
Well, the thing about me, though, so the shows that I typically am drawn to on HBO are the ones that aren't so serious. Like, I don't want to go into the darkness. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of real life darkness. Like, I don't need to turn on my TV and fall into it.
Comedically, Larry Sanders was a good show.
It was a very good show.
Yes.
Dream On was a very good show.
Dream On was an awesome show. And
I shouldn't even have been watching that at my age.
Me neither. Me neither. And I'm mad that I can't. HBO has now, I thought, put on like all the shows that they've ever had on HBO now, but it's not on there. Yeah, because I was looking for it.
It's not.
I was looking for
at
it.
all. Yeah. So yeah, and you know, we both talk about. I don't know if you loved Sex and the City, but
I didn't mind it. I watched it.
Yeah. What's funny is I wasn't even down with Sex and the City like that. It was guys that I knew that put me on Sex and the City.
For real?
Honestly, shout out to Ahmed and Stanley, two of my best friends. But yeah, they were like, "Why you not watching Sex and the City?" Like,
right?
Like it was about to be over, so I like went back and rented the DVDs. But so yeah, like I'm more drawn to the more comedic,
the lighter stuff.
The lighter stuff. Like,
I mean, you watch Insecure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you mentioned that. What about like Entourage?
Oh, we talked about Entourage.
We did.
I think episode 5. We were talking about a bunch of stuff that we liked, shows and things. But yeah, and we both agreed that movie was always.
Oh, that movie's terrible.
It was
hey, one thing we didn't talk. Did you watch True Blood?
No, that's just too dark.
No. True Blood honestly was more.
Wasn't that the vampire one?
Yes, it was. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it probably skewed more toward. It had some dark stuff, but it was skewed more towards like comedy / probably like rom-com like nonsense. It was more about like relationships and stuff. It was like a steamy summer show. Like yeah, they would do a lot on True Blood. It was basically, in my opinion, it was what's that series with the teenagers?
Oh, Twilight?
Yes.
It was kind of like a TV version of Twilight?
It was the rated R, like extreme rated R version of Twilight, in my humble opinion. Yeah, they were doing a lot of that. So, but it had its funny moments in it. But yeah, so Game of Thrones coming back. You know, my time will be divided at that point. You know, I'm a Game of Thrones head. I go all the way into it. So, we ready to get into some sports? I mean, I have some other news, but
man, sports. It's been a funny week, man.
It has. It's been sports has been kind of bursting too.
Yeah, it has.
Sports has been kind of bursting too. So I'll save a couple of the other news stories for a future cast, because actually there's some stuff that's developing that I don't even want to go into yet. All right, so. As we said, you know, we're going to kind of slice and dice this thing because we have a lot going on in the sports world. First of all, congratulations to Duke. So y'all pretty much have the best basketball players on earth right now. Zion Williamson.
Cam Reddish.
Yeah, Cam Reddish.
RJ Barrett.
Okay, well, you can go ahead and name the lineup. If you want to take control.
I mean, they're the top 3. They were the top 3 high school prospects.
So y'all have been named number 1 now, correct?
Yes.
As of this week.
But let me just say, deservedly.
Of course.
So, because, you know, I went on my
Kentucky.
rant. I went on my rant before about how they were undeservedly ranked number 1 in prior years. And this time, definitely.
I mean, y'all are the walking version of Blue Chips right now.
The legal version.
Well, are we sure? I mean, sure. Everybody thought Blue Chips was legal until
What are you doing? Are you trying to besmirch?
It's
Coach
not a besmirch.
in the program?
I was just asking.
I feel like you're attacking.
So wait, he's beyond reproach. You can't even ask a question?
Yes.
He's beyond reproach.
You cannot ask a question.
Okay. If I see Zion Williamson driving around,
it wasn't Coach K.
Or either if I see what's
Coach K is omnipotent.
No, but I'm saying omnipotent. If I see homeboy, his mom and his mom has a house and job, and then he comes in like
he comes from a middle class family.
Well, hey, so what?
She could already have that.
He's like, hey,
I don't know.
I love blue chips.
Made that up.
Hey, so if I don't come to practice tomorrow, will my mom be able to keep her house and job? You better be in practice. Excuse me.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Nah, but
I love that movie.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. It's dated, but it ages well.
94.
92 maybe. Oh no, 4.
It was 94.
You're right. You're
94.
right.
Penny Hardaway's my favorite player.
You're right. Sorry.
And congratulations to Penny Hardaway. He's the head coach of Memphis.
Really?
His alma mater.
Oh, I missed that. When did that happen?
This is his first year.
So this is his first year right now?
This is his first year. He won. Wow. He won his opener. He's doing pretty well. And
Penny Hardaway.
And you know the backstory of how he even came into coaching, right?
No.
So one of his high school teammates was suffering from cancer.
Okay.
He asked them to come in and help coach the team. The teammate ended up dying, unfortunately. Okay. And he took that team to the state championship, and they won.
Wow!
I mean, they did an E60 on it on ESPN.
Now, did you watch the Penny with him and Shaq?
I did not watch the 30 for 30.
Okay,
I've been pinning it.
Yeah, it's very good.
I remember everything that they are going to discuss very vividly.
Okay.
From those years.
Wow.
But so
that's a great story. I mean, not that his friend died, but that's very inspiring. That he. Okay.
I mean, it was. I watched that. Like when I tell you, I was watching that. Like just bawling.
Of course,
of course.
Yeah, you like to watch stuff that makes you cry, like This Is Us and all this other stuff.
It doesn't take much to make me. You can turn on the faucet and I will cry. I'm a Cancer.
You are a faucet. That's the whole point. It's an interesting metaphor. You are a faucet.
I'm a Cancer through and through. I'm a water sign. That's what we do.
So guys, you're learning so much about Sham. Like, A, she likes to cry a lot. B, she's very much into the zodiac. Yeah, like. If you do something, she'd be like, "Oh, you just sneezed. You're a Sagittarius," and it's like, it's also dusty in here. How about that?
That's a very Sagittarian thing to say.
Yeah, see, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Sagittarian jerk. Anyway, so Penny Hardaway is now the head coach at Memphis. He's kind of come full circle, and I'm gonna be watching them closely as well. But so far, so good.
Good.
So yeah. I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
I'm going to be rooting for them.
That's awesome. So, I mean, besides the fact that Duke runs the world and apparently Coach K is omnipotent, any other notes on college basketball?
Not right now, because basically after that big opening night, they've gone to playing teams that are well beneath them at this point. So that's not.
Did you see the meme? And maybe you were the one that sent it to me when they played Army on Veterans Day.
Yeah, that was.
And the meme was Zion Williamson is out here disrespecting the veterans.
Actually, that was a close game.
Yeah, that's fine.
West Point stayed within like 10 points for about 75% of that game.
Stayed within 10 points.
Yeah, they played them much better than Kentucky did.
Of course.
will tell you that.
So if that's the version of close, then that's fine. All right.
But within 10 points, for most of the game, and then like with probably about 8 minutes left, that's when Duke just kind of tossed them. And that was on Sunday. It wasn't on Veterans Day.
I mean, but the meme came out on Monday, and plus, I think a lot of people were celebrating it because isn't it with Veterans Day? Isn't it like, okay, you have the anniversary or whatever, you have the actual holiday, and it may, like, I think it did fall on Sunday, but then it's observed on Monday too. Because I saw a lot of people on Sunday saying like happy veteran.
Yeah, because it was specific. It was Sunday.
Right.
It's always November the
11th. Yeah. The armistice. And all that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it depends. Like, I think my mom and them celebrated it on Friday, like last year. Okay. But I think growing up, I always remember it being celebrated on a Monday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's observed.
Yeah,
so it's always observed. It's like King Day.
Yeah,
like
observed on a Monday.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with somebody about that, and they seemed to not remember it always being observed on Monday. But whatever. I didn't get the day off. But salute to all the veterans.
I surely did not either. Although I can't complain.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So yeah. Since we're talking about the round ball, let's stay with the round ball.
So we're going NBA?
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, let's go NBA.
Let's go NBA.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff in NBA. Yeah, football. Honestly, football is kind of in a pro football. Real quick, not going to. We'll talk about it. It's kind of in a sort of a lull until pretty much the game after the Thanksgiving games.
Except that on Monday night, that's going to be a pretty.
Oh, that's going to be a great.
That's
game.
going to be.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But yeah, so what's going on over there in the Western Conference this week?
I mean, nothing much, right?
No, nothing at all.
Except the world champs had a little bit of a spat. So okay, Steph Curry got hurt, which is important because apparently everything unravels like the second.
And they announced yesterday he's going to be out for another 10 games.
He's going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, they need to get this figured out. So basically, he gets hurt. His leg, something. And so they immediately go into the Clippers game after that and go to State, and Draymond Green decides that he wants to be a hero at the end of the game. Basically dribbles the ball, like falls to the floor and loses it.
Has he been talking to J.R. Smith?
Exactly. Like that was a J.R. Smith move.
Ooh, it's the ankle again.
Yeah, I thought it might be. Honestly, though, I'm not even going to try Draymond like that. J.R. Smith, his crime was worse. At least Draymond understood what was happening and was trying to do something.
Oh, so he was Ty Montgomery.
Yes. Very good. Yes, you know what? That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, he was Ty Montgomery. He was doing him like the Green Bay Packers player said. You know what? We had to play by, and he didn't care and he wanted to do him. Yes. Yes, this is awesome. He was Ty Montgomery, and I guess Kevin Durant felt like he was Aaron Rodgers in that situation.
He was,
and well, he felt like that, and then Draymond Green promptly reminded him that he doesn't respect him like Ty Montgomery probably respected Aaron Rodgers.
So many parallels.
Because he went from 0 to 60. That discussion went from 0 to 60 immediately. Like it basically was like, "Hey, what are you doing? What do you mean? What am I doing? Who are you? And get out my face."
Katie went see Pleasant on him.
See, Stephen A. Smith said something, and you know, I know a lot of people don't like Stephen A. Smith. I love hate with a lot of people, I think, but he said something very true. Yes, Kevin Durant is from Sea Pleasant, and he's local. So, you know, I always, whatever. We'll talk about Durant. But he did say this. Durant didn't really he barked at him a little bit. And then when Draymond started barking, it was kind of like, all right, you know, I don't even need this to deal with this. And then the organization, so to continue the story, obviously, that we're saying, they got into it. And basically, Draymond Green, apparently, the more that comes out about this is like, he said, "We don't need you. You're a B word." And, you know, I'm feeling less graphic today, guys. But he kept calling him that a bunch of times. You're a B. You're a B. You're a B. And we don't need you. We won without you, and we'll win when you leave. So go ahead and leave.
So who won the last two Finals MVPs?
Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted you to,
yeah. So Kevin Durant won the last Finals 2 MVPs. So did Draymond Green forget that? And on top of that, did he forget that before Kevin Durant did that, he was in the process of losing to LeBron James in the final before that, and confirmed by him and everyone else, promptly, immediately, before he did anything else, went in the parking lot and called Kevin Durant to come to Golden State.
I mean, I called you and everything, but we didn't need you.
Yeah, I called you like before I even took a shower after Game 7. But I mean, that don't mean that we needed you or nothing like that. So don't get your head too big. You're a B. Get out of my face. Like, of all the people to talk like that to him, when you called him after Game 7 from the parking lot of the arena and it was like, yo, are you trying to come to Golden State? We need your help. You sound dumb.
Yeah, and that's probably why Kevin Durant backed off. He's like, you know what?
What's
for two reasons. First of all, you sound dumb, and secondly, you're not even worth me getting amped up over because you a punk.
Yeah,
like you a Bama. Yeah, like, stop it.
You're a Bama. Like, and the fact that the organization was like, I mean, we like him, but he is a Bama, so we're gonna go ahead and suspend him. So the organization suspended Draymond Green for a game.
Which is hilarious, by the way. Yes. And I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
He's done far worse things.
Yes, he
has. And the organization didn't seem to care.
Apparently, he does. He kirks out all the time, and they quietly let it go. They might fine him a little bit, whatever. Like, they just learn to accept it. But when they're getting scared, they're like, "Hey, man, look, you can't talk to KD like that. He's not
in a contract year."
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith said it. Now, Stephen A. Smith did everything close to calling Kevin Durant a punk today, because he kind of was like, you know, some people are built like that, some people aren't. You know, some people could take that, and some people can kind of, you know, take that and then play with somebody, play alongside someone and drop it. Kevin Durant, I don't know. I don't think he's built like that. I think like this might stick with him, and yeah, they might win this year, but then he's gonna leave. And he was saying it in such a way to say, you know what, you hurt his feelings, and he's gonna like cry in the corner and then leave, right? Like that's what he's gonna do. And so,
but Stephen A. has a history, of saying not so kind things about Kevin Durant, and I would agree with him on most of that. Most of them, yes. I will say he is not very fond of him. If I could speak for him, I don't think he's very fond of Kevin Durant.
This pains me to say. I don't like Draymond Green. I love Russ. I could see that same type of argument happening with Russ that happened with Draymond. Mm-hmm. The only difference is I think Russ, the reason I do like Russ is Russ would not try to do him like that in public.
Right.
I could see Russ in private talking all of that and a lot more.
Right.
And that's probably what ran him out of OKC in the first place. Because Russ is the same type of dude to be like, wait a minute, who are you talking to? And what? Because that's what they said Draymond started with, like, who are you talking to? Like, and what are you talking about? Russ is the same type of person in that respect. Draymond is the type, he likes to showboat. He likes to, you know, do it in a grandstanding fashion. Russ, it may boil over to that point, but he's not doing it on purpose. And I feel like he would do that behind closed doors and then hug him and come out and be like, this is my boy. Do not talk about him.
I also think Russ could probably really fight.
Yeah, as opposed to being a fake tough guy.
Right.
Correct.
Like Draymond.
Correct. Yeah. Because that's the two I want to rumble. I want Russ to crush him. But, you know, one can only dream. That's not the NBA we live in. Yeah, so after that, they didn't even make nice. Draymond comes out, gives the worst non-apology I've ever heard, which just shows whatever. So he comes out, he's like, I'm never changing and this and that. And by the way, all the other teams in the league better look out for us because we're stronger than we ever been.
Yeah, we're not going to beat ourselves.
Yeah, we're not going to beat ourselves.
You're going to have to beat us. And then promptly
we're stronger than we've ever been, and everybody else better be scared of us. And then they probably go out and get beat by like 30 points.
Blown out by the Rockets. By the Houston Rockets, who just dropped Carmelo Anthony off on the curb outside the stadium and promptly. That's so rude.
They'll talk about Carmelo like that.
Man, I don't like him.
Oh God,
and you know this.
Hey, Carmelo, listen, are you good? Get out right here. We gotta go through the back.
Right, we got a game.
Yeah, we got a game. You good right here? We got you some front row seats though, just not in the locker room. Like, it's good. We'll see you after the game. We can hang out.
I laughed so hard. My headphones fell off my head.
Oh my God. No, you said they dropped them off though. That literally is what they did. One day Daryl Morey came out looking scared as I don't know what. Like, why am I doing this press conference? Hey, you trade Carmelo Anthony? I don't know. We're evaluating everyone. Are you trading him? I don't know. Okay, we're evaluating everyone. People were saying that you told him he's not going to be on this team. Okay, that's not true. That was a lie. The next day they part ways. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but anyway, yes, to your point, Houston was fresh off that. It was like, hey man, let's come in and bop these. It bopped them.
And what's funny about that is that, you know, we both enjoy watching PTI. Yes. But sometimes I don't get to watch PTI on the day that it airs, and I have to kind of like binge it towards the end of the week. Correct. So I actually saw the comments that he made from a clip on PTI after I already knew the score of the Rockets game. He so being Draymond saying those words about we're not going to beat ourselves. You're going to have to come in and beat us. Because the game happened the night before.
So you saw the ticker as you said it?
I had seen the ticker already and knew that they had lost. Sorry. So then when I finally saw the clip later, I was like, what?
Yeah, you sound dumb.
What a dope.
Oh. We're stronger than we've ever been. You better watch out if you're the rest of the teams. It's like, look, I don't think either one of us is sitting here trying to say that like the Dubs are not the prohibitive favorite.
Oh, they're gonna win.
However, it was the timing of all that was very funny because it's like if you thought you were going to scare, especially the Rockets coming into that game, they were like, whatever. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and smash.
Look, they already hate you.
Correct.
So
and they already feel like they should have beat y'all.
And you don't have Steph, so they're gonna take advantage of the opportunity, which they did.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah,
and both of them had horrible games. Draymond, I believe, had like 5 boards, 5 points. Kevin Durant had no points, or I may have that backwards. Maybe Kevin Durant had 5 points and Draymond had 0, but one of them like had 6. Neither one of them had double-digit points in that game.
Klay Thompson carrying him once again.
And Klay Thompson, I know. You see, this is the kind of stuff that again we both said. Klay Thompson is literally maybe Iguodala, but Klay Thompson is literally the only person you look at on that team. And Steph is not a bad guy, whatever, but whatever, he's kind of a front runner with, especially when he gets with Draymond. Klay is the only person on that team where I'm like, you act like you got some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, okay,
90% of the time.
Yeah. There've been a few times in it, but like, get you off that team to a team where I can like. Yeah, because, you know, I like your game. I like how you play and this and that. But get away from these guys.
Oh, nah. Durant had 20 points.
Oh, then I'm tripping.
Draymond had 0. And actually, Klay only had 10.
Ah, okay. I guess somebody had to score, yeah.
Somebody had to score.
Yeah, somebody had to score.
Somebody, yeah. But 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 0 points.
Ah, that's where I got the 5 from.
Yeah.
Okay.
But either way, it was not.
No, it was a terrible effort. It was a terrible effort. They got smashed. Yeah, so that was the drama with the Dubs. You know, drama, however you want to call it. With the league in general, I mean, you know, the Raptors, we were just seeing them. Actually, I think they just went to overtime with the Celtics. That game is probably wrapping up in a second, if it hasn't already. But they are looking good.
Yeah.
They're looking good. Milwaukee's looking good with Budenholzer. He's done a great job with them.
Oh yeah, the Celtics wrapped that up 123-116.
Okay, and that was an overtime, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, the Raptors are looking really good.
Yes, they are. Kawhi. If I was how would you feel if you were a San Antonio fan and you were seeing Kawhi Leonard do all this?
I mean,
I'd be pretty bitter.
But why? He didn't want to be there.
But that's the whole point. He kind of played a game. Like, it was the way he did it. Not wanting to be there is fine. It was the way he did it.
Yeah.
Like,
he held the clipboard.
Correct. And, you know, granted, they misdiagnosed him, and I'm with him on that.
So he was mad about it. That's why he didn't want to be there.
But he should have been a lot more vocal about that, because I would have rolled with him on that, and I do ride with him on that. You get my misdiagnosed on a team and then they try to get you to play. No, you know what? I don't trust you guys. So forget it. This is my career. But sort of the game plan that I heard was happening, and then I'm healthy, I'm not, I'm healthy, I'm not, and then to see him go out and do this kind of stuff, if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be very upset.
Do you know any Spurs fans?
I do, actually.
I do too.
I
two very close friends of mine are diehard Spurs fans.
I dated Spurs. I mean, this is years ago, but she was a cheerleader. Yeah, and by dated, like, let's take that term loosely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was not her boyfriend. Yeah. But it was good though. I went down there. I came down there. She took me to a game, or arranged it.
Yeah.
But yes, I know some Spurs fans. If you want to get technical, that was the only time I've been to San Antonio. Went to the Riverwalk, did all that. It was great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yep.
let's get back to.
All right. No, you asked. I answered. Anything else in the league strike your fancy?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean,
LeBron James.
Well, we don't care about him. Look, we left Curb-Melo on the curb. So let's get back to that. Look,
all right, let's unpack that.
Those people who know me personally know that I have never been a Curb-Melo fan.
Why?
I don't respect his game.
What I don't
respect the work ethic. I don't respect
the lack thereof.
Exactly, okay. The lack of work ethic. I don't respect the lack of conditioning. I don't respect the ISO ball. I don't respect any of it. And you kind of see like an evolution of a player over time. I feel like he's the same player he was when he came into the league. He's no better.
Yeah, a little bigger.
Just a little bigger. Again, the conditioning.
Yeah.
Like look at the counterparts that came in with him in that draft. LeBron, Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Bosh even.
Yep. Chris Paul. Yeah.
I mean, one could say that Chris Paul is
banana boat.
No better either. But
now Chris Paul. I mean, look, Chris Paul he's been like compact. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like he's like let himself go or anything.
Well, no, I'm not saying like. I'm saying like his game is probably the same way it was when he first got into the league. Well, only because he's a point guard.
I was about to say. I said this last time. Yeah, he's a point guard. It's not a lot of growth. Yeah, it's not a lot he can do. His game is going to be what it is.
What it is, but out of all of them, it's just like, and we talked about the one championship at Syracuse last time, which you said Jim Boeheim should forever be thankful.
He should.
And that's wonderful.
He should.
That's great. But the goal isn't to go to Syracuse and win a championship. The goal is to go to the NBA, right? Yeah. That's the goal.
So, I mean, look, Carmelo going to Hall of Fame, right?
Somebody going to put him in there. No, I'm saying like...
Wow.
Well, and the other thing is Olympics matter.
Yes.
With Hall of Fame.
And
so does college. It's the basketball Hall of Fame.
And he's been kind of because LeBron and a lot of them have deferred or, they'll do one or not a bunch of them. He's done all of them.
He's got 4.
Yeah, he's done all of them. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, especially this last one, he was viewed as sort of an elder statesman.
Yeah, and
a leader, right, on the team.
Yeah.
So I think that'll work in his favor.
I respect all of that. But as I just said, it's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, so it's inclusive of everything that you.
Yeah, I don't like how the Basketball Hall of Fame works.
It's inclusive. Yeah. So I mean, you got the college championship, you got all these Olympic medals, and you've had a long-standing career in the NBA, which looks like it just kind of fell apart.
I mean, somebody's going to pick him up, right? Yeah, like he's going to
at what price?
He's spending Atlanta's money. Because Atlanta bought him out from New York.
Yeah.
So, in the sign the trade. So, he's fine. I think he'll probably sign somewhere for either veterans minimum or probably right above that.
The veterans minimum?
Yeah.
You talking about the guy who didn't want to come off the bench. Now you think he's going to take a veterans?
But I think that was a year ago or a few months ago. He's been humbled in that respect.
You sure about that? Humility isn't really one of his things.
Hey, listen, it's a lot to presume, but I would think he has.
I would hope. One would hope. One would hope. So look.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler though. So look, I was talking about, it was funny, my uncle and I were talking last night. Shout out to my Uncle Dennis. And he was like, talking about the Jimmy Butler thing. And he was like, the reason why they don't want Jimmy Butler in Minnesota, right? And I was like, no.
They do.
Or didn't want him in Minnesota or whatever.
Okay. Well, keep going.
So basically the same reason why Golden Tate got shipped out of Seattle.
I'm lost.
So you remember Golden Tate? Well, you know, it was rumored that he slept with Russell Wilson's first wife.
No. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Am I stupid?
I don't.
Or like behind?
I guess. But you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, it was a big thing that Golden Tate had slept with
Russell
Wilson's
tripping.
wife. But anyway, so apparently Jimmy Butler had knocked off Carl Anthony Towns' girl.
I believe that.
Like
he had no respect for them.
Like he was hitting off everybody down there apparently. So this is from the words of my uncle. I ain't really look into it, but I just thought it was funny and it makes sense. But
well, the way he was treating them went beyond basketball.
And did you see the comment he made on Gabrielle Union's photo and Dwayne Wade had to sun him?
I do remember that.
He clearly has no boundaries.
No, he has no boundaries. But the way he was treating Carl Anthony Towns and the rest of them, it was like, okay, I get you want to be off the team. Why are you screaming on these dudes like this and disrespecting them? Now, that being said, so okay, do you remember when Paul George was with the Pacers?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know that they said that he knocked off Hibbert's chick, right? So
I can see how that could happen.
So what happened was,
did you have seen Roy Hibbert?
Wow.
I mean, hey, look, I'm not condoning this. This is a joke.
Shout out to Georgetown, Roy Hibbert, by the way. Keep your head up, man. But nah, yeah, so they said that messed up the team back when they were real good. And they kind of hit a cliff, or hit a wall, and just no one understood why are they not as good right now? Why is it? And that's what ended up, or at least that's the rumor.
Yeah.
It was his fiance actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was not just a girlfriend.
This is kind of a thing because didn't Tony Parker knock off?
Oh, now that was a wife.
Brent Barry's wife.
Yes, and they promptly had to make some trades.
This dude had Eva Longoria at home.
Correct, and he hit off Brent Barry's wife and Brent Barry, or not Brent? Was it Brent?
It was Brent Barry.
Yeah. They traded him immediately because they were like, "Look, we can't do this." And then Eva Longoria got divorced, so that
she was like,
that had to. There was no kind of cover up rumor on that. That was confirmed and then dealt with. Yeah, I did not know that though about Golden Tate and Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? All's well that ends well. Russ is with Sierra now.
Yep.
And they seem happy.
Very.
So, hey, I'm with it. Yeah. Man, Golden Tate, stop. Why you do that, man? Why you do that?
But
okay, all right.
But definitely, it's rumored that Jimmy Butler.
I can see Jimmy Butler doing that.
Carl Anthony Towns' woman, but
I wouldn't put it past him.
So, what do you think about the 76ers now?
They're better. I mean, Boston has proven tonight at minimum that, I mean, this was a really good game. This was actually a pretty important game.
They needed that game.
Because they were struggling a little bit.
Now they're at 500.
And beating Toronto, especially when Toronto was playing as well as they were playing, it's one game, but it means a lot. It means that they can hang with them. I actually like the Butler move to Philly. I think it makes them better than Boston, actually. I think that. Because they when they played Boston last year, I believe it ended 4-2. That seems to be sort of a dominant performance. If you watch those games were close. Mm-hmm. It was not sort of just a complete wash. It's just most of those games, if I remember that series correctly, Philly just was not mature enough really to kind of close out those games. And then when they finally got their act together, it was too late. But those games were close. And Jimmy Butler, for all of his other flaws that we just talked about, can bring that kind of experience and maturity to the court.
Maturity?
To the court. I said, I put a lot of disclaimers before and after that statement. No, to the court. Yeah. So I think that makes them formidable.
And they put JJ Redick back in the starting lineup.
Yeah. And he was a leader for that team. Is a leader for that team. He should have
never been benched for Marco Fultz. Like, what?
Of course, you're caping for JJ Redick, but that's fine.
I'm caping for the fact that he's a better shooter than Marco Fultz.
Oh, I mean, if I had a pet, they would be a better shooter than Marco Fultz.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, like, don't make this about Duke.
Yeah.
But look,
a ham sandwich is a better shooter than Marco Fultz. So yes, JJ Redick is better.
I can shoot better than him with my left hand.
Correct.
But yeah, it was just I feel like what they were doing is they were trying to justify having the number 1 pick, which they should have never picked because they should have picked Jason Tatum, and the Celtics are glad that they didn't.
Correct. And they're gonna make him pay for it every time.
Every time.
Yeah, they'll make him pay. But Jimmy Butler will sort of take the air out of that whole situation. So that's a great pickup for them.
Oh, they played tonight. They beat the Jazz 113 to 107, and Jimmy Butler had 28 points. He was the leading scorer.
And the Jazz are good. They get slept on a lot. They're very good.
They do. So. And there's another Duke connection there.
Of course there is.
Quinn Snyder.
Whatever.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, roaches. I guess it would be the term, would it not?
Which is vastly different from about 20 years ago. Because remember, the knock on Duke was that they couldn't make it in the NBA.
Couldn't make it in the league. So, where's Jimmer Fredette?
He didn't go to Duke.
I'm tripping. Yeah. Any white player that gets a bunch of hype. Sorry.
Where's Adam Morrison?
Yeah, I know, right? With the mustache.
Jimmer Fredette, I heard, actually.
Balled out in China.
Yeah. He's out there balling.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Jimmer buckets.
Anything else on the NBA?
Nah, I think I'm good. Ain't much else to say.
Before we go to the league real quick, your Orioles have a new GM.
Yeah, they do.
I believe that's noteworthy because he comes from a very good organization.
Grabbed him from the Astros. Sure
if you would like to, say a few words on that, I'll give you your platform. Not give you. You'll take your platform.
I mean, I guess. I haven't really developed. I mean, the first thing I said to you was, I hope he stays around.
That is the first thing she said.
Because we go through GMs like we go through socks. Seriously.
What you know about him?
So Mike Elias, or Elias, however you pronounce it, he was the general man. He's an executive with the Astros, and now he is the Orioles GM. We're hoping for a brighter day. However, I'm always going to say that the day will be much brighter when Peter Angelos either kills over or sells the team. So, he was responsible for the Astros' recent transformation and their ultimately winning the World Series. So we're hoping that he can bring that same energy into the Baltimore Orioles organization.
Now, a couple of things. He was the assistant GM. So are we for the Astros? So are we saying he was responsible or part of it?
Well, I mean, when he got there, things started to go up. So,
okay,
part of it, responsible, however.
Also, real quick, last note on the Orioles. Did you read Buck Showalter's farewell letter?
No, I didn't read that. Why would I read that?
It was excellent.
Yeah.
So, my other friend who likes the Orioles, who you know, who you'll see on Saturday, and probably. So guys behind or inside baseball, actually, which I love that phrase and it's appropriate now. A friend of mine who's helping me plan this party is an Orioles fan. She's basically probably going to be in Sham's face talking to her a lot about the Orioles.
This is not going to happen.
I guarantee you would.
I have consolidated my feelings about the Orioles. I do not.
I suggest you arrange your seating so it's such that
I've already given you my seating request.
Okay. You gave me an RSVP. And guys, by the way, don't invite Sham to anything that you need a head count for because apparently she has no regard for that type of thing.
Wait, you don't remember my seating request?
Oh, God. Yeah, she did make a seating request, but I'll let her put that on air if she would like to.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, she made a seating request. Maybe one day on another podcast we could talk about it. It dovetails into her dating life, maybe, possibly. We'll see.
Non-dating life.
Correct. All right. Well, the letter. Back to the letter, real quick. It was very well written, and he talked about his years there. He talked about he really kind of just name dropped all the stuff he did in Baltimore, just his time there, and it was a real good look. Like it was a classy move. So, maybe you should check it out on your spare. Just a little side note.
Perhaps. I'm so done with it.
I mean, it's not on him.
I get it. But the fact that you even making me talk about this dude, I don't even want to talk about the Orioles.
Only thing I'll say about baseball besides that is Bryce Harper is probably not going to, come back to the Nationals.
He might be a Cub.
And he dyed his hair blonde today with his girlfriend. So, he's just jumping out there doing whatever. I'm not kicking him out the organization yet. I like him. But, hey, if you're going to go. If you're going to stay, let's get this wrapped up.
Look, the stove is still lukewarm.
Yeah, very lukewarm.
There's nothing really to report as far as...
So we ready to talk about the Niffle real quick?
The Niffle!
So, what's up with the Eagles?
I will be going to New Orleans on Sunday.
You are? Yes, that's a great game.
To catch that game.
So wait, when are you leaving?
I'm going Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. All right, and guys, it's Friday night, so yeah, she's got tomorrow to wrap some stuff up, and then she's leaving. So, can I get a prediction for the game?
Oh, the Saints are going. What are you saying?
I don't know. Y'all gonna compete? Y'all might surprise them.
The Saints are gonna murder us. What do you mean? We don't even have any cornerbacks.
Listen. Any given Sunday, man. Any given Sunday. Look, you guys should not have lost to the Cowboys. So who knows? You guys may be angry.
We shouldn't have lost to the Cowboys. We shouldn't have lost to the Titans. We shouldn't have lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We should have lost to the Cowboys. You know why? Because we didn't have any cornerbacks, and we had to play zone defense in the second half. And all they did was give the ball to Zeke, and he just ate it up.
Okay. Yeah, he did. He had a great game. I think he had his best game of the season.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. You know what? Worst case scenario. Well, hold up. Y'all will be 4-6.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. Then it's starting to slip away. The Redskins and the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So the Cowboys play. I want to say Atlanta or somewhere. Yeah, I think they play Atlanta now. The Redskins. I forget who they play, but
they have the one of the easiest schedules left.
Yes, they do. So they that Thanksgiving game, I believe, actually will mean a lot for you guys. You want the Cowboys to win that so that they can bring the Redskins back down to earth a little bit.
They have the Texans. Oh, that should be interesting.
The Redskins, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Texans are on a tear.
Yes, they are on the tear. Yes. So, who knows? Hey, maybe the Texans do continue your prediction about them, or not prediction, but just observation.
Yeah, I think they've won 6 straight.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
So they beat the Redskins tomorrow. Even if you guys lose, then the Redskins turn around. If the Cowboys beat them, everybody's back in the mix.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to have to depend on anybody else to help us. We just need to get our shit together.
Well, I think you should get in the mode where you're dependent on people.
We're clearly, I just don't accept that because we're clearly just mediocre right now.
Well, yeah, that's what mediocre teams do.
And on paper, we should not be, and that's kind of the thing. So
people are talking about Doug Peterson like he's not a good coach or something.
They're talking about him like he's very blasé about what's happening on the field too. What they want him to do? Care a little more? Or seem like he cares a little more?
Oh, they want to show?
They want to show. They want him to be
Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna, I'm like that.
Yeah, I mean.
I need the coach to look bad and act bad.
Yeah,
if stuff's not happening.
He's still smiling.
Oh no, not smiling.
Why are you smiling, bro?
Now there's some stoic coaches that are like, okay, you're entirely too calm about this. But I give them a rope because it's look, they're just trying not to let their emotions show. Like Garrett, for example, Garrett claps all the time. That's what he's called, the clapper. Jason Garrett, and that would drive me crazy too. I could not deal with it, and he does it all the time. Smiling? No, what are you smiling about?
There's nothing to smile.
There's nothing. If we're losing, what are you smiling about?
There's nothing to smile about.
Yeah, and players too. Like, oh well, we could have a conversation. No, you can't. Not where you at work. Talk when I'm looking at you. Now, if you want to go home or go to the locker room, do all that when I'm not looking, fine. Is that unreasonable? A little bit, but you're making unreasonable money. So let's go.
Let's go. Two other things. They promoted the rookie running back Josh Adams. They bumped him up in the depth chart, so he's gonna be the lead back.
They're talking about y'all getting Le'Veon Bell.
Well, no, we're not getting Le'Veon Bell.
Or at least you guys being one of the favorites.
Well, they were talking about that weeks ago.
Okay, I mean, how would you feel about that?
I don't know. Is he gonna go out there and tear his Achilles? Like,
why would he do that?
It was
I know it.
Yeah, Des Bryant.
I know. Yeah, and that you know what? You should feel bad about that joke.
Why?
Because
I'm just saying they both have not been on the field all season, so he could go out there and injure himself. But I will say this: Le'Veon Bell has been working out the entire time.
In Miami on a speedboat.
Sometimes you gotta decompress after those hard workouts.
I was just asking a question. You made it sound like he was in the gym the whole time. I distinctly remember him being on the jet ski.
It was after the workout.
No problem. I'm not questioning the schedule. I'm just saying you jumped out there. You're
allowed to relax.
You just jumped out there
after the hard work. But okay. I'm just saying, I did not see any videos of Dez working out at all. But
I also didn't see Dez on jet skis either.
You saw him at he had a great seat at a Beyonce concert.
Beyonce concert, look, try to get his job back.
I've seen videos of Le'Veon Bell working out. I ain't seen none of Dez. But come on. But I don't know if we get him, that's cool.
All right.
But I just don't know how impactful he can be at this point.
All right.
I'm still mad we didn't make a move for Patrick Peterson. I'm still gonna be on that one.
Yeah, that party's over.
Yeah, way over.
Yeah.
So we have no cornerbacks, and we have promoted a rookie to our lead back, and that's that.
That's that. All right. I mean, just in the NFC real quick, we don't gotta go to divisions or whatever. I think a big story though, the Packers. They played last night against the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are they're still teetering. They're one of those teams, and I said it a long time ago, they're one of those teams that still competes and finds a way to sneak into the playoffs.
And there'll be spoilers.
And they have, once they get to the dance, they're like, look, just get us to the party. Once we get to the party, we will be a problem because the playoffs are too big for us. Also, too, for the teams that are trying to get in themselves, they'll end up picking them off, too. Like, it's Correct.
like, towards the end of the season, they become these dynamos where they just start picking teams off.
Yeah. So there's that. But the Packers, they're talking about Mike McCarthy losing his job based on, that is talk. Sham gave you the what look? Yes, absolutely. They're talking about the fact that there are multiple occasions, including the fourth down call last night and just other calls and other situations with Aaron Rodgers has had the ball taken out of his hands with the ability to win games. And then it's starting to add up. And then people were starting to kind of take a step back and say, okay, everyone sits there and says Aaron Rodgers is either the best or one of the best quarterbacks. You haven't been in a Super Bowl in going on 10 years. What's the problem? Yeah, he gets hurt. Okay. Even when he's not hurt, he hasn't been really hurt this year, even though he was hurt at the beginning of the year. You guys are 4-5. The Bears will probably win that division, so you may not win the playoffs, or you may not get into the playoffs. What's the problem? And that's what people were saying. So he's in trouble. So that was a big storyline that came out of last night, and that's something to watch. Rams are fine. Bears, Saints, Panthers. I think the NFC is starting to take shape. You guys will make it interesting. Notice I didn't say anybody from the East because as bleak as it looks, see, the East is so bad. Every team is like, yo, we're not going to win it. Even the Redskins fans, they're like, because they just got smashed by the Falcons or by the Bucks. They didn't get smashed, but they got beat. So they don't feel good. Every team in that division is like, we're not good. So by definition, that division is wide open. So that's the only kind of question mark. AFC, real quick. Patriots, division's on lock. Todd Bowles, it looks like he's getting ready to get fired. That's picked up a lot of steam.
This is his fourth year?
Third. No, fourth. You're right. He went 10-6 his first year, and then 2 straight 5-11 seasons.
Yeah, it's time.
So this is his fourth.
The experiment's over.
Yeah, over. Buffalo trash. I mean, we don't gotta go team by team, but yeah. So AFC's done. Kansas City's. Well, no, I wouldn't say they're gonna win the division because they still have the Chargers.
The Chargers are playing well, man.
Chargers are playing very well, but Kansas City's still playing very well. So that's the intrigue there. Pittsburgh.
They still have to play each other.
Correct. One more time. Because Kansas City did beat them the first time. Actually, week 1. Pittsburgh, yeah, that ship's been righted.
Yeah, there's no need to discuss the AFC North at any point.
Actually, here's the only intrigue in the AFC North.
Oh, yes.
Hugh Jackson, who we've already talked about, has now come home. Marvin Lewis. You know what? That's what friends do, Sham. You hook your boy up. Mm-hmm. You want the special assistant to the coach.
Hey.
So how much coffee? Remember that story you told about Starbucks?
How much coffee is he getting?
So is Hugh the manager of the Starbucks app? Does he pick up Marvin Lewis so that he don't have to go through a story like you go? He gets the coffee, he gets the red cup, he gets the points, and then he brings the coffee to Marvin Lewis.
You should feel bad about that.
Why? Why?
That's rude.
How's it rude?
That's so disrespectful.
Can you tell me what a special assistant coach does?
He's the assistant head coach.
I didn't see. I said, you watch The Office? Do you watch The Office?
I really got into The Office.
Okay, well, I'll put it this way. There was a meme, and obviously Steve Carell is the main character, and
the American version.
Yes, the American one. Yes, and one of the running jokes was that like one of his main man was like, "Oh, so I'm the assistant regional manager." And he's like, "No, you're assistant to the regional manager," right? So when they announced Hugh Jackson, they put a meme of those two guys standing together, and they were like, "He's the special assistant to the head coach." He's not the assistant head coach.
Leave Hugh alone.
First of all, I love Hugh for what he did for Oakland. He did not do himself a lot of favors. Forget the record, but his conduct in Cleveland, specifically admitting going behind the GM's back, I was not with that. But I'm glad he's found a home. So Cincinnati and them out of the picture. Matter of fact, that whole division is falling apart.
Baltimore.
What about?
They got to start for RG3.
Yeah, so we could almost end it with this because honestly, okay, RG3 may get a start on Sunday. Apparently, this will be decided like tomorrow.
This dude has a job and Colin Kaepernick doesn't. Think about that.
Robert Griffin III may be the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. This is up in the air. How do you feel about that? Didn't you say your mom loves him a lot?
No, she don't love him.
Them.
Oh, the Ravens?
Correct.
Oh yeah, that's her squad.
Correct. And I know a few people that like them.
Oh, I clowned her the other night.
How did she feel?
Oh, she was like
distraught.
Yeah.
This season's over.
Yo.
I have a few, I have some coworkers. I have all kinds of people who just are not with this.
Yeah, I trolled her a little bit. I was like, "So you got RG3 on Sunday, huh?" She was like,
"So besides that, they're talking about Harbaugh's gone."
Oh yeah, it's about time. It's another thing my uncle and I were talking about last night. It's about that time, around the same time when they were talking about getting rid of Brian Billick. You win one Super Bowl and you can do nothing after that. So, hey, I personally feel like it's time for Ozzy to go.
Why?
What do you mean? Ozzy Newsome?
Yes.
He's a GM.
And a good one.
How?
He brings plenty of talent in there.
Not since Joe Flacco got all that money.
The Joe Flacco deal, I feel like that's an organizational decision, even
you
beyond
sound like
him.
my uncle. He said that was on Bishotti.
Yeah, Bishotti. That's not on him. He's bringing people in.
I'm tired of people making excuses for Ozzy, man.
Making excuses. He keeps the Ravens. The Ravens have never been like horrible under him. They've been at least decent, if not good. They've always
been in the conversation.
Yeah, and you're in there with Pittsburgh. Like that's a tough division, man. Well, at least with them, But seriously, yeah, Ozzy done a great job. I mean, if you just try to say, look, you know what, maybe it's time for a change, but you better have somebody good lined up. That's one of those situations where don't do change for change's sake. Like have a superstar, rock star lined up behind him. Because if you just bring some, regular Joe in there and they don't do anything, that's a bad look. I would take Ozzie Newsome in second to be my GM. We have a fake GM, so whatever. But the point being, yeah.
They already talking the John Harbaugh exit strategy.
Real quick, I was laughing with my friend who likes the Cowboys, and I was like, how ironic is it that Jason Garrett is probably going to sleep tonight after beating y'all with more job security than John Harbaugh, Mike McCarthy, but that same logic you just gave to Jim Harbaugh is the same one that I think some people have with McCarthy. Yeah, you won the Super Bowl, but it might as well have been 1,000 years ago at this point. We don't care. Yeah, and we don't feel like you're doing anything. We feel like if there's been success on this team, it's because of Aaron Rodgers, not because of you. Excuse me. And I don't think that's entirely true, but they can make that argument based on what Green Bay has done, especially when he's gotten hurt. They look horrible when he gets hurt. And even when he's not hurt, like times like this year, they're not managing games well. And that's a bad reflection. But my point being, Jason Garrett can go to sleep at night tonight and feel better about his job than John Harbaugh and Mike McCarthy, who have both won Super Bowls since Jason Garrett's been a coach. That's how the world works.
They already got Harbaugh in Denver.
Really? Oh, yeah, because they've been ready to fire that dude.
They already got Harbaugh in Denver in 2019.
That brother in Denver? That poor brother. It's a few brothers in the league. I forgot the coach of Arizona was a brother. We play them this week. They're gonna smash us. We being the Raiders, they're gonna smash us.
How is Arizona gonna smash anybody?
People say the same thing about San Francisco, and then they came out and completely we're an expansion team. Champ. You notice I spared the listeners. That was my first mention of the Raiders, and that will be the last on this particular episode. They're not doing anything. I thought Jordy Nelson retired earlier this week, but apparently, he hasn't yet.
He's just doing that to get away from John Gruden.
He would have been the second person to retire this season from the team. During the season. Yeah. Like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah. You know what? I'm out.
Speaking of which, how we feeling?
I'm feeling a little hungry.
How we feeling about the podcast and this episode?
Oh, you gotta be specific with me.
Oh, excuse me. I feel like, man, I still had a lot of stuff to cover, but I definitely wanted to cover. I went over most of the stuff I wanted to cover, at least for this episode tonight, because there's some developing stories that I definitely want to get on. But it's been a great episode. The ambulance has stopped. We caught a few in the middle.
Well, yeah, that's because now it's close to the end of the night, and
this would have been when we normally start,
right? And as you said, everybody's in the hospital now, in their hospital beds, getting taken care of,
which is like crazy.
It is.
What are y'all doing at happy hour? That's so like hectic. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but this was great though. I wish we could always start earlier.
Yeah. Well, we could work on that.
We will. Pre-production.
Hey, as always, we appreciate our listeners for tuning in to this episode of the Stop Playing Podcast. Remember to keep your chips on the plate.
The plates. Plates.